my Bare Minerals review. I have a few products here that I'm going to review. Sorry, by the way, right now, I'm just going to apologize because I'm using a different camera today, and for some reason, the screen, like, flips me, like, the opposite way, kind of how, like, iPhoto or, I don't know, like, how your, like, iPhone does when you put, like, the front screen on, like, how it flips you around. That's, like, what this camera's doing. It's really, really driving me nuts, and, like, I can't even, like, focus. So if I'm a little off, that's why. I'm going to do this review just because I feel like Bare Minerals is something that a lot of people use, or a lot of people want to know about. It's kind of, like, well, it's not super pricey. It's not, like, really, really high-end pricey, because they sell it at Ulta and at Sephora. They even have their own store actually in my mall, but they're not super pricey. I was actually surprised by like how affordable they actually are. I wanted to tell you guys before I start reviewing is I got the matte loose powder, the original powder, the mineral veil, and the concealer, all 4 of these together. In one of my hauls I mentioned it. They came with a concealer brush and a foundation brush. I don't use those ones though. But all that stuff came together in a set. I can't remember what it's called right now, but it was only $25 at Sephora. I'm pretty sure it's called something like Love, Ready Love, or True Love and something, or something like that. It's like 3 words, like separated by periods. But all of them come in like little mini sizes, so you can see all these. They're not like as big as the normal sizes, but there's a decent amount in here. They last really long, and like, I'd recommend if you're going to try out their products and you don't know if you want to use matte or the regular foundation or whatever, I'd recommend getting that because it was only $25. I think a normal, like, full-size one is $25, so before you, like, buy that to test it out, like, maybe try all of these ones so you know which one to get when you do want to get it, if you do want to get it. But so what I did is the first thing that I got was these ones, and then I got the pressed powder, the Ready foundation, so I'm going to talk about these first, and then, like, why I bought that one and, like, about that one. But so the first thing I tried when I got this little set was the regular, or the matte foundation, sorry. The matte foundation is, I got all these, by the way, in this set. They all came with a color that's not actually my color. It's a little bit light for me. The Ready foundation I did get in my color. These ones I got in the color medium beige. By the way, when you're a color in the loose one, you're not the same color in the pressed Ready foundation. The color range is completely different, so make sure you ask for like a color match if you're gonna get them from Sephora or something, because they can like make sure you're getting the right color, because my color was almost completely different. But in the Bare Minerals and the matte and the original, there's a big difference in the matte and the original loose powders. The colors are actually a little bit different. The original one is a little bit more yellow toned in coloring than the matte one is. The matte one's a little bit more tan colored, so I'm not really sure if that's a big difference, but if you're getting a matte or you're getting the original and you had the opposite one, I'd just like get color matched even if you think it's the same color. The only bad thing that I really have to say that I really don't like is how messy they are. I just really don't like the loose kind of foundation thing. I used Bare Minerals a long time ago when I first started wearing foundation in like 7th or 8th grade or something, because I thought it was easier and it looked a lot more natural. It really does look a lot more natural than like a liquid foundation, especially when you're really young, because when you're really young you don't really like blend, you know, down on your neck, and it can be a little embarrassing. But powder is a lot easier to do. It's a little bit quicker than liquid foundation and stuff like that. So I do like that about these. They do look really natural. But I would have to say that even though I have really oily skin, the matte one was too matte for me. I noticed it on my skin. It looked really cakey. I did not like the matte one at all. The thing is, it didn't really control my oil for very long in my T-zone, so my T-zone was still kind of like shiny by the end of the day. But it did kind of look really cakey on certain blemishes. Because I do have blemishes, I know this isn't exactly probably the best foundation for me, but it did look kind of drying, so definitely don't get the matte one if you have dry skin, which should be pretty obvious. But if you have dry skin, definitely don't get the matte one. It can really make you, like, I have oily skin, and even little tiny flaky spots looked really flaky with the matte one, so I didn't really like the matte one too much. I thought that it looked nice, like the color when you first apply it, but it does kind of like sit in different like dry spots and it doesn't cover all that well, so I wouldn't recommend the matte loose one. But the original loose one I really did like. It was really natural looking. It didn't control my oil, so if you're oily skin, you are gonna have to set it with like a actual powder that's meant for like controlling oil, or some kind of like a spray, like a makeup setting spray or something. But the original, by the way, the powders have SPF 15 in them, in case you're wondering, so that's pretty good too, because a lot of powders don't have SPF in them, and usually liquids do, but these are great for SPF, you know. But the original one I really like to give a lot of coverage. The color match was pretty decent. The medium beige was a little bit light for me because I'm always self-tanning, but I really, really, really love the coverage. It did not like get flaky on blemishes. It was actually I'm so really surprised by the coverage of a powder. I usually use the Fit Me powder, those pressed powders, which are decent powder. I'd say really light coverage. This is medium coverage, definitely not full. If you want full coverage foundation, you're not gonna find that in a powder. That's just what I'm gonna tell you right now. But I really did like this one. It covered so well. It's nice and loose and airy. You cannot feel it on your skin at all, which is really nice compared to like a liquid foundation. That's why I don't wear liquid foundation, because it feels that way. I just thought the coverage of this was really good. I still needed to use a concealer with it, but it didn't require me to like put a whole layer of concealer on, if you know what I mean. When you use this, I use the concealer first, and I know that when you use foundation, like especially liquid foundation, you use the foundation and the concealer, so you're not putting too much makeup on, because if you do it reverse, you end up putting more makeup on. But with this, I kind of think that you do have to put your concealer on first, and you can always add more later, but if you use this and then you put your concealer on, usually concealer is liquid and it doesn't look as nice. But they do make a Bare Minerals loose powder concealer, which I do not like at all. I wouldn't recommend it unless you're just using it to cover like redness and you're really oily skin, because this sat in every single one of my blemishes. It just sat there and like made it look flaky and dry and did not cover. The redness was still there. I didn't like it at all. It was just like extra powder. I don't think it did anything at all. I don't know what the consistency of this is. I just didn't like the way that it looked. This specific concealer, the loose powder concealer, I just think powder concealers don't really work as well as liquid ones, or cream, which is what I've been using. So I use the original loose one with cream concealer, with either the Laura Mercier Secret Camouflage or the Benefit Erase Paste, which I'm loving right now. But I use those and then I apply this over it, kind of to set it and like just to even out my skin tone a little bit more. I'm not wearing this today, by the way, which I probably should be when I'm filming this video, but right now I'm just wearing the Fit Me pressed powder and Erase Paste concealer. But I really do love this foundation, the original one, but the concealer and the matte foundation I did not like at all. The matte one was too drying, and so is this one. Unless you have like super oily skin and no blemishes, I wouldn't recommend those two. But I definitely recommend the original foundation, the loose foundation, because it's really nice coverage. It's really thin. And it's just so natural looking, and I think that it's a really, really, really great alternative to liquid foundation. I feel like it's really good for your skin too, because these Bare Minerals are obviously have minerals in them, and they just, I don't know, I feel like they're a lot better for my skin. My skin feels like it's breathing a lot more than if I wear like a tinted moisturizer or something. And it's a lot faster too, even though it is a little bit messy. So if you're in a rush, this might not be the best thing for you. But then the next thing that I got was a mineral veil. I'm not exactly sure what the mineral veil is for. I don't know why. I don't know. It could either be to set your makeup to make it not oily, or it could be, I think, maybe just to give you like a highlight all over. I'm not really sure. It is definitely a lighter color. I don't know if you can see it in there. It's like a really light color. It's like a peachy white color. It's again very messy, just like the other ones, but I feel like it did absolutely nothing. I would put it over my T-zone. I would put it in certain areas. It definitely didn't highlight anything at all. It did not set anything. It did not help with oiliness or anything in the T-zone or anything like that. My Rimmel Stay Matte is a lot better at setting. I would use that over the original one if I was having like a really oily day, or like halfway through the day I'll use that instead of this. I don't really understand what the mineral veil does. It doesn't seem to be doing anything at all for me. It's like an extra layer, which I just don't see the point of. I'd rather use the Rimmel Stay Matte, which is way cheaper and just is an all-over better product. And the last thing I have to talk about is the Bare Minerals Ready SPF Foundation. In this one I am in medium tan instead of medium beige, so that's quite a big jump. The woman did say I was one color lighter than this, but it was like sand tan or medium sand, or I don't know, one color lighter, but it seemed very light, and she didn't, I don't think, realize how much I self-tan. It looks like this. It's like this really nice big mirror, and then it's in this little area. Thing is, it is the same price as the loose one, but there's a lot less product in this than there is in the large like set of, not like how tiny this is, but this one, if you get the big size of it, like the actual size that comes in the store when you buy one by itself, had a lot more product in it than this, but they are the same price. This foundation is not as good coverage, I'd say, as the loose one. The loose one looks a lot more natural than this. This one, it can look a little bit cakey, I find. I do like this, though, on days when I'm feeling really, really, really oily. usually in the morning I'm not feeling too oily. Usually throughout the day, like right now, I feel like I'm getting a little bit of shine on my nose. You guys can probably see that. And like right here on my cheeks, get rid of this with like blotting papers or like even dabbing like a tissue or paper towel. And that really helps with my oiliness. And I've been using the Urban Decay All Nighter setting spray, which really helps with that. This, though, is something great if I have a really oily day or in the summer. I feel like this would be really good. I haven't used this in the summer, so I'm not sure, but it does have SPF 20 actually in it, which is really great. And I think that this one is really, really, really great for anyone with like super oily skin. It is not in a matte formula. I don't think they make a matte formula of this one. I think it is just the one formula that they make. I do want to let you guys know, though, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but it is kind of, you can see how thick that is. That is much heavier coverage than the loose foundation. It kind of gives a more cakey effect than the original loose one does. That's the swatch of it, if you can see. It is very, very thick and very powdery. It is not, I'd say, as pressed powder as most pressed powders you've probably tried. It can look pretty cakey. This foundation has SPF 20 in it, which is obviously good because it's another powder with SPF in it, because, you know, SPF is always good to have. But this one is very cakey almost. It gives a little bit better coverage than I'd say the loose one. The loose one is a little bit lighter and more natural looking. This one gives nice coverage, but it's kind of cakey, and I actually have oily skin, so it's a little bit strange that it's cakey, but I use it the same way as the other one. I use my regular concealer, and then you put this on top of it. This is just a little bit drying, so if you have dry skin, I wouldn't recommend this at all. I just recommend using any kind of liquid foundation. This is very, very drying. If you have normal to oily skin, I say it probably will work for you, but I have oily skin, and just on the outside, I've mostly combination skin actually, because around here I get really dry, like around my chin, and then the rest of me is really oily, so it's really bad for like around here, but for the rest of me, it does kind of control the oil throughout the day, which is strange, because this is not a matte formula. There's actually a slight, I don't want to say shimmer, but it's not completely matte. There is a few, seems like it, at least, like maybe just like a, I don't really know how to describe it. I don't know if you guys can see how much you can see in there, but there is a hint of like something in there that is not completely matte, some kind of a glow, but it's nice on the skin. It looks pretty good, but it's not as natural as the loose foundation. I would say that I'd rather buy a big one of the loose one than purchase this again. I will probably use this up because I do like it, but it's not my favorite. I probably won't repurchase it. I'd give this probably like a 3.5 out of 5, and then the loose original one a 4 out of 5, or 4.5 out of 5 actually. The thing I don't like about this is actually the packaging. If you guys can see that, like I haven't even used that much, and there's like fingerprints and like it's pretty messy. I'd actually say that I'm surprised how messy this is, because you'd think that they'd be trying to make it a little bit less messy by making this like pressed instead of loose, but they're pretty much the same. And this, like when you put your brush in it, I can't show you right now because I just washed my brushes, but when you put your brush in it, it really just goes everywhere. It does not stay in there as a lot of pressed powders do. It just kind of flakes out, kind of, and that's probably one of the reasons that it is such a fine pressed powder. It's kind of like an HD type powder, if from like e.l.f. or even from Makeup Forever, like that kind of thing. It's so fine that it kind of puffs in the air. So when you put your brush in here, I do it lightly at first because it will make a huge mess. I actually might think that the loose powder might be even less messy than this, but just for the sense of coverage, I'd say that this and the original one are better than the matte and the mineral veil, which I don't even know what that is, and the concealer that just doesn't seem to work at all. It makes things worse to me. But I'd say if you're going to get these, I'd try maybe getting that whole set that has all the little mini ones in it, so you could really try to see what works for you. Obviously, as you guys know, I have acne prone and oily / combination skin, so if you have different type of skin, take this with a grain of salt, you know. Things are obviously going to work different for you, but this is just how they seem to work for me. I would recommend getting the original one. Probably out of this whole video, I would recommend the original one over anything else, just because it does give the best coverage, it's the most natural looking, and it just feels the nicest on the skin. But this one is good if you have really oily skin. The original one would actually probably work if you have maybe a little bit of dry skin, but not too much if you moisturize really well, but this one will not work if you have dry skin. The color match is pretty decent. Minerals Ready Foundation is a good investment, I'd say, if you're on the go a lot, which is, even though it's still kind of messy, it's easier to carry than this. This could easily get unscrewed, and this one obviously isn't going to, because it's just like, you know, that kind of opening. And this one does come with a mirror, and I don't think that the bigger Bare Minerals ones do. I'm not sure, but I don't think they do. So this comes with a mirror. It's nice and compact. If I'm using the mineral veil wrong, though, please let me know what that's for. I'm not really sure. I feel like it's actually for finishing your makeup, and I don't think it does that at all. but the matte one just is not good. It's way too cakey. I don't like it at all, and the concealer is not good at all either. But the original loose foundation, which is what I used to use when I was younger, which is why I think I went back and purchased this, is really good, and I really suggest if you don't like using liquid foundation, or you think it's too heavy on your skin but you still want that good coverage, I'd recommend this. It is medium coverage, maybe light, depending on like how much you need. You can't really build this powder up because it will start to look cakey, so keep that in mind. You can't really put another layer on. You just want like a light coverage and you don't want to use anything liquid, use this. I'd really recommend it. It's good for it's a lot better for your skin than liquid foundation. I feel like it doesn't sit on your skin. It's really nice and it feels really great. And then this one I'd recommend as well, but it's a little bit more drying, so just keep that all in mind. I really hope this helped you guys. I know I didn't try all these products and I didn't really open them just because I didn't want to make a mess everywhere, but they're pretty much just powder. It's not much to describe about like the actual texture of it. If you have any questions, if this wasn't very clear, then please leave a comment below and I'll get back to you within 24 hours. I always try to make sure it's 24 hours. If it's not, it's only a little bit over. So just leave any comments below if you have any questions at all. If you have any requests for new videos, you can leave those below too. Also, please let me know what you guys want me to do for my 100th video if I didn't already do it, because I'm filming this before that, but I'm not sure when this is going to go up. And thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys, you know that. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And make sure to go and follow me on Instagram and on Facebook. That's all linked below. And I will see you guys soon. Bye. Already room. Okay. Okie doke. I don't know. I don't know what exactly it is. This is not. Okay, let's restart this. Okay. Like, dabbing myself with like a oil absorbing can't even think of the word. Is, let me tell you, okay.